Welcome everybody. It is May 4th, 2023, and we are live in the Meaningful Ideas Trading Club. I'm here today with Andrew Engel. Andrew is going to tell us all about his ventures, some problems that he ran into and how he figured out how to get out of them and get things rolling.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. And thanks, Joel, for making the connection. So I think this whole thing started maybe back in 2018. Similar story to a lot of people. Read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And from that day forward, it was kind of like my entire world was flipped upside down. My perspective on life had changed. And it was really, that was the turning point of me becoming a struggling W-2 employee, knowing that that was not the life I wanted to live. From there, I knew real estate, just from that book, was something I really was interested in, wanted to get into. So I started attending my local real estate investment association groups, found one I really liked. And from there, it was kind of like, I'm a methodical person. So I'm like, okay, how do I get into real estate? What's step one? Okay, step one is find leads, right? A lot of people are doing direct to seller. So I was following some people, learning a little bit about how they're marketing to people. And what I found during that process was a lot of this is very manual, looking people up who are in motivated situations. And so I'm like, well, I have a background in software. So I'm going to just whip up something that can collect all this data automatically. So instead of investing, I started writing this program essentially to start data collecting on people so that I could have somebody or I would have a list of people to market to. And once I was done, I was talking to another fellow investor and we're kind of like, you know what, this is actually a business in itself. This is something that a lot of people could use. So I ended up kind of taking a hard right in my investing journey and ended up building a software business instead.
Okay.
That business is basically a lead generation business. What we do is we focus on basically being a lead generation or list provider. So we focus on providing motivated seller lists. So what we do is we just collect every divorce, eviction, foreclosure, and probate case filing in Wisconsin daily. And then my customers subscribe by county in Wisconsin. And then whatever's filed that day, they just have access to. So they go on our website. It's called Fresh Pick Leads. They log into their account and then they just download for whatever counties they're subscribed to, all of the divorce, eviction, foreclosure, and probate filings from that day. Then they can get to marketing right away. They can get to the leads faster in effort to close more deals. So I ended up building that business for a couple of years, and I got really interested in that side of it. Almost to a fault, because it kept me from actually investing in real estate. And that was up until just a few years ago when I decided, okay, I know more than most people who haven't dove into real estate yet. I think I'm comfortable enough. Let's get started. So that's when I started actually buying property, wholesaling property, flipping property, and then up until just this year, quit my job in February. That's essentially where I'm at today. So today I'm focusing mostly on wholesaling and buy and hold.
Wow. Where are you doing this? Where are you operating out of?
I'm located in Oshkosh. My basically buy and hold area is kind of Fox Valley. But I do market greater than that. I think I'm in like 10 counties. I'm open to, doing deals in anywhere in Wisconsin, as long as it makes sense.
Okay. So here's your website. So first off, what you're telling me is that you're collecting data from filings related to divorce, evictions, foreclosures. What else did you say?
And probates.
And the concept that you had was that the market would be interested in that information. Is that right?
Correct.
And what led you to think that the market would be interested in that?
Because these are people who are in some sort of motivated situation where selling their house makes sense. Divorce, 50-50 state. Oftentimes the sale of the house is part of that. Foreclosure, I think that one's a pretty obvious one. They're behind on payments, risk of losing their home. Evictions, those are more looking for tired landlords, or maybe new landlords who are just getting into it, realizing they're not good at managing property or don't enjoy it. Maybe hit some rough patches with some tenants, things aren't working out. You're trying to find those people who may be retiring or just kind of like done with the whole tenant situation. And then probates, people who have passed away, whose estates are going to heirs or other parties that don't necessarily want to inherit a house. Maybe they live out of state and they're struggling to pay their own mortgage. They just want to get this thing out and out of the way. I mean, handling a probate in itself is massively taxing. And if you are the personal representative or the executor, you got a lot of stuff that you got to do. And that's just on top of managing the sale of a house that may or may not be in the greatest condition, may have other things tied to it. So sometimes a quick cash offer is exactly what some people need.
Did you find that, are you unique in this market that you are, I'm going to use a fancy word, curating this list, right? But like putting this together, are there other people that are doing this?
There are a lot of list providers, but most list providers buy their data from other sources. And a lot of these data providers are buying from the same sources, which is good and bad. So a lot of list providers provide demographic information, which, then you can really niche down, oh, I want somebody who is, between this age range, has owned their house for this many years, has this much equity, whatever, all this demographic information. And that definitely has its place in this industry. What is different about that is it's not always the freshest. If anyone's used a list provider, you may download a big list and then you're spot checking some and you look it up against tax records and you're like, that was sold 3 months ago. What's going on? So the difference in where Fresh Pick Leads kind of sets itself apart is truly just that fresh aspect. We aren't waiting to look at anything about the property, about the situation, the demographic, or anything. It is simply a speed to lead sort of business.
Andrew, how are you managing your client list right now?
For Fresh Pick Leads?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the business is automated. I don't have a lot to do. I'm probably spending 30 minutes a week on this business. I have a VA who also kind of helps out as well. But a lot of it is really just personal touch, calling people, talking with them at the RIAs. And then a lot of follow-up conversations happen from those. So that's pretty much the extent of it. Cause I really wanted a business that I could basically almost build my employees, right? Write my employees out in code so that things are just handled automatically. And I purposely did a lot of that and put that upfront work in there so I wouldn't have to manage a lot of people. But that was with the intent so that I could focus more time on actively real estate investing instead of having to have all my time taken up with a software company.
Andrew, so tell us, if you can, about fast selling solutions then. That's different from what we've talked about so far, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about fast selling solutions.
Okay, so Fast Selling Solutions is a home buying company. So what we do is we market to people in our surrounding areas and see if they're interested in selling their house. From there, we have phone conversations, consultations to determine if we are a good buying fit for them. But essentially, we are buying properties at a discount to either fix up, renovate and sell, fix up, renovate, and hold for long term, or partner with someone wholesale from there to profit.
So tell us about the story of debt, right? You had some debt. That was a problem for you. We've got a few minutes left. Again, the time escapes me. So give us what you can here in the last few minutes about this debt and this, what you did with that, how you overcame it.
Yeah. So it was shortly after I read that Rich Dad Poor Dad book. I'm like, yes, this is the path. This is what we're going to be doing. And it was at the same time that my wife and I were going to be buying our personal residence. And when you go to actually, this is our first time we're ever going to buy a personal residence or anything. When you go to get a loan, they're asking you for a personal financial statement. And we went through that process and we were looking at it. We're like, okay, we got student loans. Between us, we got 3 different degrees from a not cheap school. We got car payments, we got credit cards, we got other like financing that on certain things within stores that we had bought. And we're looking at our financial statement and we're like negative $100,000 plus net worth. Like our net worth isn't even 0.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that point where we're like, holy cow, we need to make some changes. So it was at that point forward where we really just, instead of investing, this is when I was kind of starting to build Fresh Pick Leads, and really just focusing on becoming, but like growing our financial IQ, like figuring out what we need to do to budget, how much we need to put down and reduce spending and put as much as we possibly can against just like bad debt. And that lasted for years. And we were able to get rid of like $50,000 just out of our own W-2 income to put down against bad debt. But the real estate side was really what helped a lot of that and grew our net worth. So today we are, it's not huge, but we're over $250,000 in net worth just from a couple of properties. And, also the additional business and paying down stuff personally. But, one quick story of our first deal is we bought it at 40,000. We put about 35 into it. It appraised for 156. And we wanted to keep it as a rental. So we found, based on those numbers, we were going to be making, I think, like $300 or $400 worth in cash flow a month. Okay. So, but we had this $16,000 car loan that was taking $400 out of our pocket every month.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife's idea actually was, hey, why don't we just refinance out of this hard money loan and just take out 16 grand additional on top of that to pay off our car. Now I looked at the numbers and I was like, actually that works. So I took out I refinanced that property to pay off the hard money with an additional $16,000 out of there to pay off that car. And all that did was, and I'm still at 65% loan to value on that house, even with that additional $16,000 that we were able to take out tax-free. And we were able to pay off that car, get rid of that $400 a month payment, which only reduced our cash flow on that property $100 a month. So we were able to actually increase our cash flow monthly $300 just from that one deal and have, basically our tenants pay up for our car. So that was a big way to get chunks of debt taken care of, which was just like a huge just mindset shift, given that it was our first property and being like, okay, yeah, this is how it's done.
Very nice. You guys have thoughts, comments on that?
I just love that you were confident enough to jump in when you were underwater on, some of your other personal finances and stuff. And, I was in the same situation when I started getting into real estate too. And it's just amazing how quick you can dig yourself out when you make the right moves like that.
Yeah, really great stuff, guys. So appreciate you all being here in the Meaningful Ideas Trading Club. We'll be back next week and we'll keep rolling after that. So thank you, Andrew. Take care, guys.
Thank you.